And we have started the recording. Thank you for being here with us, everyone. I'm Laura Rubinstein, and once again with Dr. Rhoberta Shaler, and we are talking to you about why it's important to take care of yourself during the holidays in particular. So, Rhoberta, you were making a really good point I wanted to capture.
Yeah, it's very, very important because we can't give a gift we don't have. And if we don't take care of ourselves and we start taking care of other people all the time, and we keep giving and giving and giving, which is exactly what I think we're supposed to be doing, and we forget to give to ourselves, then we start to run on empty. And then we feel a little pushed and pressured and exhausted. And then that little thing called resentment creeps in. And we try to push it down because that's not what nice people feel. But it all comes from the fact that we're not taking care of ourselves. We're not renewing ourselves daily. We're not taking that approach that what I call, and what's the master metaphor for my work, is inclusive compassion. That means it includes you and everybody else. So you don't leave yourself out. And, you know, I often say, if we really believe the adage that we have here in the West, which is give until it hurts, then the whole world would be hurting. And so let's be smarter than that. Let's take care of ourselves. And we're not only going to talk about why it's important to take care of ourselves today, but how to renew ourselves so that we are ready, fresh, and restored for the new year, which I think is great.
Yeah, and I wanted to zero in on one thing you said about that resentment. I think it's a symptom that's, if you stay really conscious and aware and you're like, why can't I do this? And I'm really, if you have an angst around the holidays, it's a good flag. It's like celebrate that you're noticing it and that you do need to take care and renew. Because if you are like happy and joyous and feeling replenished and you've had your massage or whatever, you feel really well taken care of, then you have a lot more to give. So we definitely need to replenish ourselves. So, yay.
We do. And we're important. And what I like to say, and it's on the back of one of my books in great big letters, is you matter. And you have to treat yourself as though you believe you matter. And when you're always at the end of the list or even falling off the end of the list, you're not treating yourself as though you matter. You're treating yourself as though you're a leftover. And you get what that wonderful film and that book, The Remains of the Day, when you just get the remains of the day, the leftovers of life, and that's what you're giving yourself. What kind of message are you giving yourself? At a really deep level, what kind of message are you giving yourself about your worth and your value and your contribution? We really have to play on our own team. We really have to be with it and understanding that there has to be balance in all things.
Yeah, and if we expect others to treat us with respect, we have to treat ourselves with respect and honor. And so I like to say, treat yourself like your own best friend.
Sure.
Or what would you say to your own best friend? Or what kind of advice would you give? And that's how you start honoring yourself and respecting yourself and giving yourself that positive energy, filling you up so you can be renewed and refreshed for the new year, for yourself. This is, I want to let you in on a secret. This is not just for the holidays. Probably a life tip.
Yeah, I wrote 2 blog posts recently about this very thing. One of them is called Self-Care, 5 Empowering Ways to Show Yourself You Matter. And I invite you to go and have a look there at forrelationshiphelp.com because that's where you'll find all of this information that can maybe surprise you a little bit at the simplicity of the notions that we've kind of forgotten, and we get really busy taking care of everyone else. I can tell you a little story from my life. I have a neighbor. He was my neighbor. He lives in a senior facility, and his wife died and his son died, and he has no family. And every day I go and I feed him his dinner because he has macular degeneration and he can't see the plate. And there are days when I'm dragging my feet and saying, again, every day. But then I have to look and say, what have I not given to myself that I don't have to give today? What is it? Did I run myself ragged? Did I overbook myself? Did I make this an afterthought, something that's not important enough to sort of say this also has value because I choose to spend my time that way. I'm making that choice, so I need to come with presence and love. And it's a great way to calibrate where I am at any time. Because if I have any resentment to doing it, that means that I'm not giving a gift to myself that I need to have to give to him. Mm. And another thing, Laura, that I would say, piggybacking on what you just said, is, and you'll see this in the writing, I always say, only say things about yourself that you want to be true. We tend to say things about ourselves in offhanded, negative ways. We put ourselves down, we diminish ourselves, discount ourselves. Only say things about yourself that you want to be true. That would bring you a great deal of renewal in 2016 if you chose to follow that.
That's a great practice. Only say things you want to be true. Only say things about yourself you want to be true. I love it. Right. And by the way, for those of you joining us, we want to let you know, we want to take care of you too. We do that on our blogs. Mine is transformtoday.com. There you go. And for relationshiphelp.com is Dr. Rhoberta Shaler's blog, and all kinds of great things that will help you take care of yourself in all kinds of situations, people dealing with other people. And we just welcome you to stay in touch with us, and we want to support you in renewing yourself over and over and over again, being your best self, because I really think that the mission is here that we're all about is if we help people take care of themselves, we create a better world ultimately.
Imagine, we certainly do. Because how can we create a wonderful world from a deficit?
No.
Right? And we have the renewal power within ourselves to take care of that.
And it's no one else's responsibility, really. But we have all the power. We have the power to take care of ourselves. So let's just do it.
Yeah, and the big question that we have to ask ourselves is why not? If we're not doing it, what kind of mindset do we have that says we're not that important, we don't count, other things are more important perhaps? And sure, I'm not ignorant to the fact that sometimes we really need to take care of someone who's very unhappy or had a stressful situation or is ill or whatever, and sure, we give a little more. But if we've been filling our cup every day ourselves, then we still have it to give. We understand that process. I remember when my mom was dying, I knew she wasn't going to die anytime soon, and I had been working full time and being with her all night. And she had caregivers, and I took 3 days off, and they were horrified. Honestly, Laura, they were horrified. They took me aside and said, "How can you do this? This is terrible." And I said, if I don't do this, I will not be able to be present with my mother for her last days. So I took the 3 days off. She was no worse when I came back, and I was with her for the next 20 days before she died. And I knew I had to renew myself. And I think everybody else knows when they need to renew themselves too. It's a gift you have to give yourself.
Yeah, I don't think it gives anyone a gift if you're giving from a place of, like you said, depletion. You're irritable, you're resentful, you feel like a victim, you add that negative energy into your life and the lives of others around you, and it doesn't serve. It really is counterproductive, even though you might get the comment or the criticism from somebody who couldn't believe you need to take time for you. But if you're grounded in yourself and you understand what you need so you can be the best you can be in the world, it's good for others. I like to say I have the people pleasers cure. I have the cure. You ready? It's a phrase. It's a mantra, phrase, an affirmation, whatever you want to say. It's if it's good for me, it's good for all concerned. If it's good for me, it's good for all concerned. And we can use that in our businesses too. When you're serving clients, by the way, if you're coming from a place like, when am I going to get a break? You're not fully present for them. I know I'm not. So I definitely have to take time and shut off the computer, or let's step away from the computer,
We have to go play. I'd like to piggyback on what you said. If it's good for me, it's good for all concerned. I think there's another side to that you were probably implying, which is the way that I put that is give only what you're willing to receive. like from that other side of it. Like,
yeah. The only concern I have with that is, though, it's like I'm going to give what I want to receive, but when is it my turn to receive? You know, like you get into
yeah,
that.
but that wasn't the quote. The quote is give only what you're willing to receive. So
Right.
don't let anything flow out from you that you wouldn't be happy to get back. And I think we can monitor ourselves and have much better relationships and more honest relationships with ourselves and others when we come from that place to say, if what I'm about to say or do, would it be okay coming my way? And we can check before we do it to say, oh, no, I wouldn't be happy receiving that. I wouldn't like to hear that in those words or that tone of voice. Or I wouldn't like to be called out on that or whatever. So maybe I should just fall silent at the moment. So that's what I mean by give only what you're willing to receive. But if it, you know, from your language, if it's good for you, it's good for all concerned. Sort of the similar thing. You know, we want to come from a place of integrity and therefore extend that opportunity. If we think that we have the right to be speaking our truth, then we also have to accord that right to other people and not sort of try and shut them down or shut them up. So that's all in that reciprocity. And the research shows, Laura, that we're hardwired for reciprocity.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way we interact. That's the way the human works. And when we recognize that, then it makes us a little more conscious of what we're putting out, I hope.
That is the name of the game, is being conscious of what we're willing to put out. And if you're not in a place where you can put out that positive, that's a really good symptom of needing to renew and step back from the situation and really give that to yourself. And let's talk about some ways we can renew ourselves, to step back. And I mean, I step away from the computer, go take a bath, go exercise.
Yeah, I think the major one that I'd want to contribute first is spend some time with yourself alone in quiet, not doing anything, but actually listening. My husband and I wrote a book called Soul Solitude, taking time for our souls to catch up. And I've studied meditation and practices like that in many places in the world. And I don't think we need any instructions at all beyond these. Sit, fall silent, and listen. That's all we have to do. Spend some time doing that, and you will become self-reflective, and you will also be renewed. You know, it has no connotations of any particular teachings. Just sit, fall silent, and listen. Where you're listening to what's happening in your head, in your body, whatever you're listening to, just listen, right? Just listen.
So your words were ringing in my head the other day about this, because we've had this conversation before. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to step back and just sit and listen. And I actually had to do something before I could. There was a transition time that I needed between all the thoughts in my head. And, you know, because I sat down, I'm like, I am not in a space to listen to myself at this moment. What do I need to do? I needed to take a walk. I needed to start the process before I just went cold turkey into, okay, I'm going to sit and listen to myself right now.
Yeah, sometimes you need to sit down and have a cup of tea and just calm your breathing or something. And that's something I always invite people to do anyway. There's, I think we talked about it on another blab, Laura. In my book, Kaizen for Couples, I talk about the 4-7-8 breathing, which I invite everybody to use for everything. And that's simply breathe in strongly through your nose for a count of 4. Hold your breath for a count of 7. Exhale through your mouth completely for a count of 8. Repeat at least 3 times. And what that will do is make that transition for you too. And I agree, sometimes you need a lot more than that. You need to get up and move. You may be sitting at the computer a long time. You don't want to get up and go and sit somewhere else. It won't help your body. Or maybe do a few stretches or something. But just use that breathing to get yourself into a quiet place is what I invite people to do. And if you're ever anxious or you can't sleep or whatever, do the 4-7-8 breathing. And if you want to know more about that, I'll just put a link down here for you for that book, and you can find out about that. A deep breath is the least expensive, most available vacation in the world, I think. And it brings in oxygen and re-energizes all our cells. And then we exhale all the carbon dioxide we can, and we begin to brighten up. Our brain says, oh, great, oxygen, this is a good thing. And when we exhale the carbon dioxide, then we feel much more relaxed. So it's important to do that, have some practices that we do. I do that breathing before I sit. Because it again relaxes the body, takes me out of the body, lets the body be taken care of, and then I can just listen much more easily.
So you just reminded me, I have had available for years and years online now a free vacation that you can take in 15 minutes at reenergizenow.com.
Lovely.
And if you put your name and email in there, I will send you a free hypnosis audio, that will guide you into a more relaxed state to being with yourself and kind of out into that restorative, regenerated, re-energized, renewed state.
Yeah, the place we're talking about being today. Well, yes. That's a lovely gift. That's a lovely gift at any time, but give yourself that gift. See, sometimes we collect resources, but we don't use them. Exactly. And that might be something you need to have a thought about, or everybody needs to. I know I do. Like, I have a lot of resources, but do I use them? And do I think, oh, yes, I can do that, or I could do that. But do you do them? And that's where the real demonstration of mattering to yourself comes, is that you actually do things for yourself that you know are good for you, that you know will be restorative or restful or whatever. And you don't just talk about them.
Yeah, and it may take some time to put them in practice. Hold that intention and do something. I need to actually do something practical to make sure it happens. Either plan to do it with somebody at the same time, like text each other, say, hey, I'm going to do this. Do you want to do this? Or let's plan a time. Or if it's for yourself, put it on your calendar. Like, this is my renewal time. I had marked in my calendar a certain time every day for renewal practices. Why not just put it in there? Otherwise, we're going to beat ourselves up for not doing it, because we know we should, right? But there's really no reason to be beating ourselves up. Being compassionate with ourselves and then assisting ourselves to make that happen is quite powerful.
Mm-hmm. And the benefits that you get are that you feel more confident, you feel more taken care of, but you also feel like you matter, and it didn't take somebody else to show you that. If you don't treat yourself as though you matter, why should other people? Sometimes I like to watch RuPaul, and I love the drag queens and things, and he always says at the end of the show, if you don't love yourself, why should anybody else? And it's true. It's true. If we're looking outside ourselves for this, we don't have it to give. So when we meet someone, and relationships are my specialty, Laura, we meet someone, we're at a deficit. We're looking for somebody to fill us. That's not a great beginning to a relationship. That can lead us into codependency or people-pleasing, as you said earlier, Laura. If we have to be full up and taking care of ourselves so that we have gifts to give and that we can receive well, but we're not out of balance terribly. And sometimes we're looking for other people to do things for us that really is our job to do for ourselves. Because nobody's in this world to make us happy. That's our job.
To that,
as it's frequently said, it's an inside job. Yeah. And so important for us to remember. And actually, Laura, thinking about our topic today, I wrote down 3 things that I think will help people. They certainly help me anyway. Reflect. And I think the first thing is to know who you are. And that's a big deal. Do you know what your values are? Do you know what your vision for your life is? Do you know what your beliefs are about everything? Do you know what your purpose is at the moment? And and so the first thing is to know who you are, and then know what the contribution you want to make, and then step up and find a way to make it. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, well, actually, it's simple but not easy.
That's right. It's simple. It doesn't take a lot to write those 3 things down, and it takes a lot to actually get with the program. And that's often what I'm helping people do. I know it's what you help people do, is I help people get what they say they want. You know, if you say you want a great relationship, then I will help you participate in a way that will make that happen. If you want to be healthy, you know, if you, the things that you do, the ways that you encourage people to play on their own team, to stop habits that don't work well for them, and, you know, give them some help and support with that. And so if we don't know who we are, that's the place to start, because don't let other people define you.
Yeah,
define
and
yourself.
People wonder why they're not in action and they're not doing things. And, you know, once they know who they are, and they know the contribution they want to make, then if they don't know what to do about it, to go do it, I'll help you.
Exactly, we can help. But many times I'm helping people really figure out, who am I? The answer to that question. Because we often avoid that question. You know, it's a big, tough question, and we allow ourselves to be defined by other people, and we live up to other people's expectations or the world's expectations, or we think we should, or we think we are. And is that actually honest for you? Is it really who you are? Is it a demonstration of your values? And if it isn't, then, you know, I'd certainly be happy to help you step back and have a look at, hey, what is my unique way of being, and what do I choose to focus on? And when you get that aligned, life gets a lot better.
To life. When you're clear on who you are and what contribution you want to make, and then you're living that, and you're taking care of yourself so you can do that better, then you know why you're taking care of yourself. Even like you said, if you don't treat yourself as if you matter, why should anyone else? But if you don't know to yourself why you matter, first you have to work on your relationship with yourself, and I matter. So it is kind of another symptom. I like talking about symptoms so people can recognize where they can change and look to grow. Is if you're not treating yourself like you matter, why is that? Why don't you believe you matter?
Well, we get a lot of messages in our youth and teenage years, even our young adult years, that everybody knows better and everybody's will is to be met, and who you are, you're just supposed to make yourself into some kind of pretzel to keep all the giants happy, you know, from the time you're born. And the individuation process, starting, you know, somewhere in our early teens, sometimes is not valued and certainly not supported. It's like, do it because I tell you so, or don't talk back to me, all of that kind of thing. We don't spend enough time with our children often to find out what's going on with them, where they are in that conversation, as opposed to being very busy and just trying to get through life. So do what I tell you. So it's not surprising that many times we haven't developed a habit of sitting quietly and figuring out who we are, because other people have been really happy to tell us who to be and how to be for most of our lives. And it's a real gift to give yourself to find out, who am I? Because the likelihood of us being here is slim to none. You know, when you think about it, 1 egg, 1 million sperm, and actually eventually that 1 sperm connected with that 1 egg, and that's you. And those odds are pretty great.
1 in a trillion.
In favor of you not existing, and here we are. So let's take this opportunity of a lifetime and not do it being somebody else or what somebody else expects, but actually being ourselves and knowing what that is, you know, because we lose a lot of energy and time just trying to live up to other people's expectations, and that's something we talk about.
It's a waste of time. When you're clear on that contribution you want to be, we want you to be able to express that more. I know when I'm working with people on social media and marketing, and they have a business that's aligned with the contribution they want to be in the world, life gets that much more joyous, that much more energized, and relationships around people flourish, and magical connections happen that wouldn't otherwise have happened. So that is so foundational, getting clear on who you are and what contribution you're here to make, or what contribution you already are just by being you, just by being here.
Yeah, and you want to be comfortable in your own skin. You know, that to be able to be alone and be happy about it tells you that you're comfortable in your own skin.
And that's, I mean, anybody listening to this, it's like, you know what, you matter. You do matter. And you are a contribution just as you are already. And maybe you haven't gotten those messages because there's too many other voices in your head saying you, giving you angst for whatever reason. But that's a bad neighborhood. We want you to go to a new neighborhood. It's called the I Love You neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because you are that magical creation, that 1 in a trillion happenstance. There are people who just love and adore you just for being you. And, you know, sometimes we discredit ourselves. We think we're supposed to be, oh, so great and grand of a person, you know, comparing ourselves to something we have on a pedestal. And we'll never be that. But what we are is quite extraordinary in and of itself.
Yeah, and that's the way that we make ourselves never be good enough, is we're always comparing to some huge person or situation that we think we should rise to. And yes, have goals if those are your goals and those are your calling and your contribution. But if you made a difference in the life of somebody by smiling at them today, you mattered. You mattered when you smiled at yourself in the mirror this morning. It's not something that we have to earn the right to draw breath and take up space here. It is that we matter, and we need to demonstrate that. It's so important.
Yeah, and celebrate that, and allow others to celebrate you with your positive energy, that you are here to coexist and create harmony and peace and joy, or whatever it is you want to create. I love creating an intention for the day, you know, or if I'm going into an event or a holiday, you know, it's like, okay, who do I want to be at this holiday gathering? I want to be the source of joy. I want to be the source of, you know, and if I have low energy, for me, it's like receiving energy, you know, and just looking for the greatness in other people and why I'm enjoying them being here. So there's all kinds of ways to skin the renewal holiday cat here. And, you know, it's just it can be a magical experience if you choose. It's that simple.
Yeah, it is that simple. And like you said earlier, not that easy. And for some people, it's harder than others because you've been given a message that, you know, put everybody else first.
Sometimes, yeah.
Right. If you have any spiritual principles in your life, everybody has probably heard that love your neighbor as yourself. You know, listen carefully to that. It doesn't say love your neighbor instead of yourself. It says love your neighbor as yourself, as you love yourself. Right? Yeah. So there's nothing about, you know, give till it hurts or exhaust yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself, as well as you are loving yourself. And if that's the truth, then you're in good shape. If that's not the truth, there you go. You've got something to aspire to and allow yourself to enjoy.
Yeah, we got to have fun with it. Enjoy yourself, enjoy others. Just want to remind everybody, you can find more ideas on how to love yourself and bring your best contribution forward at forrelationshiphelp.com, which is Dr. Rhoberta Shaler's website, and mine is transformtoday.com. So we look forward to having you interact with us off the Blabs as well. If you have questions, of course, we recommend while you're watching live, type them in the little chat box on the right there with a /Q. And we'll be sure to answer your question, your biggest question about renewing yourself through the holidays for the new year. So we're set up to have a fantastic, prosperous, positive, energetically aligned new year, whatever word you want to use. I don't use the word resolution. Do you?
No.
Yeah.
I don't. No, well, one of the things that I think really is a disservice that people do by making resolutions is that they teach themselves they're not trustworthy. So they make these promises to themselves, then they don't keep them. And at a subconscious, if not conscious level, they're then saying, well, there, see, I'm not worthy. I'm not worth anything. Look at how ridiculous that is. So don't do that. Do something because you want to do it. You don't need to tell the world that you're going to do it, although sometimes accountability helps. But do it because it rises up in you as some way that you can express that you care and love yourself, that you care about your contribution to yourself. So why bother making resolutions? Every day, ask yourself, what do I need? What do I want? What am I going to do to demonstrate that I care? What am I going to do to demonstrate my values? And what am I going to do that makes a contribution that's unique to me, to the world? And if that means like, oh, I really need to move, so I'm going to go to the gym. That would never be mine. Or I really need to move, so I'm going to a yoga class, more likely. Then do it. Be in tune with your body and your life. Don't make grand sweeping statements for the next year so that then you can find that you let yourself down.
Yeah, I agree with Carlton here who's saying that resolutions are silly. They're, I just think that intentions are so much more empowering and powerful, you know, because it activates the brain in the way that says, let's get this done. Okay, so we're intending to have a more prosperous year. We're intending to have more love in the life. And something you can control, actually, is what I always say to intend to have. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you have a question, please do a /Q or a comment, and we'll definitely address that.
Yeah, and it may be a distinction without a difference for some people, the difference between intentions and resolutions, but we're talking about actually just being true to yourself. Like if you say something's important, then live that something that's important. It's as simple as that. It's not, certainly saying to yourself, yes, this is what I intend to do is a really great thing to do. But take care of yourself and respond to what your needs are in a way that is in alignment with your values, and do that on a daily basis, not some grand sweeping statement on New Year's Eve that makes it sound like you're going to turn into a saint before the end of the week.
And I like to look at intentions as ways of being, not things to do. So, it really activates the brain to go to work for you without, on a subconscious level. It's like, wow, I want to feel this. I want to be more. I want to experience this. It's all about what is the beingness. If you can get into that, everything else takes care of itself. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's sort of like fine-tuning your mind.
And aligning.
Like instead of going with putting all the big rocks in first, you get them in there, and then you say, yeah, well, here's the more fine thing, the intention that I have. This is the why. This is the purpose. This is the mindset. And it allows for that growth that you were talking about, and allows the mind to say, I get it, and the body will follow often. It's important. And, I see a lot of things on Facebook, as I'm sure you do, that says, 2016 is going to be your best year ever. Say yes or amen if you agree. Well, that's always a wonderful intention, that it'll be your best year ever. But then after that, you might want to think about what would make it the best year ever. What would you be doing differently or being differently that would make it a better year for you? If there's some little thing that you might want to change. I remember in Man's Eternal Quest, written by Paramahansa Yogananda, I read it in 1990. I remember it so distinctly. And there's a line in there that said, make one promise to yourself, no matter how small, that you will keep for a lifetime in order to show yourself how powerful you are.
Have you done that?
I did. At the time, I was occasionally smoking other people's cigarettes. I'd be in a crowd, everybody was smoking. I'd say, well, I'll have one too. And on that day, I said, I will never have another cigarette in my life. And I haven't. But that was that, I was showing myself that I have power over myself, right? It's not like saying I'll go to the gym 4 times a week and work out for 2.5 hours. It's like one small thing that doable that I knew I could do by just deciding that I would have power over that one thing.
Yeah, I think
And I
we
did.
don't get how our power, how powerful we are. It's a beautiful way to think about power, and we are like charged batteries. We are so full of power. We don't even get it. It's just, where do we want to plug our energy into, and how do we want to use it? And when we consciously think about that, we use it more wisely and more effectively, more positively for ourselves. And then we diminish the resentment, we diminish the feelings of less than, and we elevate our spirits, really, and we're more available to give. It's like this.
And it's fine-tuned and unique to us, not because we read it in Cosmo
some spiritual
magazine.
book.
Here are the shreds, that this is the way a good person behaves, or a spiritual person behaves, or whatever. It wells up from within us. This is how I choose to have my life go, regardless of anybody else. This is how I choose it. And that's very powerful.
And if anybody needs more ideas or reminders on how powerful you are, I just remembered I have another resource for you all. It's the Feminine Power Cards.
Yes, I looked at mine just the other day.
FemininePowerCards.com. So it's just, if you want to have it like in your side drawer, back pocket. In fact, I was just looking for them and I think I moved them. Yep, they're not in that drawer. So we'll definitely, you can see more about them at FemininePowerCards.com. But, it's just a matter of perspective and shifting perspectives a lot of times, what renewal is. And when you see, like, it's okay to take care of yourself, or it's okay to embrace the people around you as well as yourself, things may shift.
And, let me say something on the other side, because people may be thinking, oh, this is all sweetness and light and unicorns. Sometimes we take care of ourselves by moving away from toxic situations and people. And that's a good thing to know. Absolutely. That you can, and that it's quite all right to say, this isn't working for me. I have a new book coming out in February about the fact that there are people in life who are very toxic, and they don't mean to be. And I talk about that in the book. It's not their intention, although it seems that way by their behavior. It isn't. They don't see the world any other way than the way they're behaving. But sometimes if you're not feeling good about yourself, you will make yourself into a pretzel to try to please someone who will not be pleased. You cannot please them. And they're always going to take pot shots at you and blindside you with remarks and make snide and sarcastic comments, or have unrealistic expectations that they keep putting on you and then telling you don't match up. And, really get some help if you need to, because I work with people like that all the time who are trying to say, am I thinking straight about this? But don't hang out with toxic people that are turning you into a pretzel inside. It's okay to say, I can love you from a distance, that I can only take a little bit, and if I set my boundaries and I know what they are, then when they're compromised, I walk away. And that's a way to take care of yourself.
Especially if you're not married to them, or you're not, a really close relative.
They may be your mother, They may be an aunt at Christmas time and holiday time, whatever you celebrate, and families gather together. There's often that one person that everybody has sort of got their fingers crossed they're not going to be like that this holiday. And those are the kinds of people that need our love and attention, but maybe we can only give them until they cross a boundary, and then we have to leave. And some of them are people that, we just can't be near, and that's okay. It's all right to know that. Just as long as you don't have bitterness or resentment or whatever, you take care of yourself and say, I love them from afar. I can't be with them. I don't make a good contribution to their life because I'm in anger and resentment. They don't make a good contribution to mine because they're dedicated to finding a way to put me down. So I'm not going to be in that situation. So, let's remember that that's another way to take care of
Indeed.
ourselves.
And we wish everyone a well-nurtured, self-nurtured holiday season and new year. And
Yes.
is this a good place for us to wind up the Blab?
Sounds like it's a good place, because we're going to talk again next week, and we'll be talking about something new. And we do this most weeks, so I hope that you'll join in and bring your questions and your wisdom to the conversation. And that if you happen to be Christian and you're celebrating Christmas this week, that you have a wonderful time, or the ongoing Hanukkah celebrations,
Kwanzaa.
or whatever suits you. Kwanzaa.
And the new year.
Whatever you're excited about and gathering with family. We'll be back with you before the new year. And for this week, make it a great celebration of yourself and everybody you come in contact with.
See you next time.